I'm just doing a quick update today on the plants. We've not looked at them all over the weekend, and it's surprising just how much growth certain plants put on in just a couple of days. I'm not going to show you them salads. They're actually going quite mad. These are ready for another cutting already. We've only just recently took one. But we've got other things that we've been growing indoors, and through the day we bring them outside so they can get that natural light. And also better airflow, which is really important. We've got these peppers that we've been growing indoors, and these are sweet bell peppers, so they're quite big, round ones, and they're coming on really well. Those, they was only tiny little plants when I last showed them you. They're at a stage now where we could pot them on, so I'll probably think about doing that at some point today. We took out a couple of tomato plants as well recently, the money makers, and we left a couple in, and they've put on some really good size now. I don't even know if I'm going to be using these plants, because I only want a couple so we can put them in containers. And we did pot a couple on, as I just mentioned, and they're not actually that much bigger. They definitely need a bit of watering though. They're very light, which is one good way to tell whether your plants need watering. Be careful not to overwater your plants, especially your peppers and your cucumbers. And you'll know if you're overwatering them because the leaves will start to go yellow. But they're definitely not overwatered, so since they're in greenhouse and we keep getting sunny intervals, I'm just giving those a quick water. We also sowed some seeds for cherry falls, which are bush tomatoes or determinate tomatoes. They flower all at the same time, they fruit at the same time, and then they ripen and you pick them, and then that plant's done. It's not like an indeterminate tomato plant because they're vining plants, so they'll grow as big as you let them, and that's the difference between the two. If you've got a micro tomato plant or a dwarf tomato plant or a bush tomato plant, you don't take the side shoots off those. They're supposed to fill out into a bush, so you get as many tomatoes growing on those as possible. Whereas the indeterminate, you need to take all the little side shoots off, because otherwise you'll just end up with a jungle from one plant. You'll soon lose control on it if you don't keep your eye on those shoots. And of course, it's going to produce a lot of foliage, and we want lots of tomatoes. These are those cherry falls that I sowed, and they've germinated, and it's not been that long. You'll remember we only did that video quite recently. Some of them are a little tall. They've got a little bit leggy, but that doesn't matter because in a previous video we already covered what to do about that. You just bury them as deep as you want. But we've also got more than one plant that's germinated in each cell, and we don't want to leave them like that. And we've done this before countless times. You can see there we've got two plants growing. Take that one out. Just leave yourself one plant to grow on. And we basically just need to go along and do that with them all. And in this case, one is quite a bit taller than other. So even though it's a bigger plant, I'll take that away. And we'll keep the one that's not quite so leggy. And we just repeat that process all the way along that tree until we've only got one plant in each cell. And they're quite big cells that we put them in as well, considering they're only cherry tomatoes. There's a few that don't look so healthy, but we've still got lots and lots there for as containers and as baskets. And any like that will just get buried right down to there, and it'll make a really good strong plant. But at least we've got as cherry tomatoes on way now. And next thing we're going to have to do is work on these peppers. They're only in 9cm pots, but you can see that they've put quite a lot of growth on now. These are actually sweet peppers, but they're the ones that grow quite long, and also the plants can grow quite tall. So in this example, you would take that one out, check on the roots with it being quite a big plant. Don't let them get root bound. We can get it out. See, that's very dry, it all fell to bits when I took it out. I think we're going to have to pop this one on. It is quite dry, that compost, and we have got a bit of root system. So we want to keep it somewhere around that. We don't want it getting all tangled up in bottom. This one I'll keep to one side and we'll pot it on. But a lot of them now are around about the same size, as you can see. So those peppers are doing really well considering it's still quite early in season, and we need to keep his eye on these. This pack, I've noticed, is very heavy. And if you look at that, there's a bit of yellowing to those leaves. That's because this pack's held its moisture in. It's getting too wet and it's not going to do these plants any good. So if you got in that situation with whatever plant you're growing, as somebody mentioned previously, a cucumber plant was starting to yellow a little. If you want to stop it in its tracks, I would suggest taking it out of there, shaking away that damp compost and then repotting it into some fresh compost, because it's going to be a lot drier and your plant will soon recover. If you leave them in that damp compost continuously, those plants will eventually die. So we've got loads and loads of things on go for a overcast Monday morning. Another thing that we've done is we've set up this container for spring onions, because we grow them for the tops, not necessarily the bulbs. But even though that's a very small container, they would still bulb up in this, and then you could take bunches out at a time. That was, again, only a few days ago. And if you look there, they started germinating. So we're going to get a nice full container of spring onions as well. Once again, updating you on those potato plants. That has come on a lot in 2 days. That's a rocket first early potato, and it's only in a 2 litre pot. We're just keeping his eye on bottom so the roots don't build up, and then we're going to take this out, drop it into a 10 litre pot and leave it in there until it's time to harvest. And hopefully we'll get a couple of hands full of new potatoes. But the plant's doing really well. We've also got one of these in garden. That's an Acer. We have various containers around garden that's got flowers in, and they're pretty much all perennial ones. So they come back every year. It doesn't cost us more money to redo it every season. But this is a really nice red Acer. And before Christmas, obviously all the leaves drop away and you just end up with a couple of twigs. So basically what we do with them is we just cut them back a bit. We give them a bit of a prune. And now you can see that that plant is all starting to leaf back up. And we've got another branch coming from bottom there. So that's on its way. The thing about Acers is they hate the wind. So if you get really windy days, it'd be a good idea to put them somewhere where they're sheltered. Otherwise these leaves are going to get windburn and they'll die and fall off. And then we've got this plant. This is another one that we cut back. That's this blueberry plant. And when we got this, it was a tiny little plant. But it's put on loads of fresh growth. It's got all new green coming on it as well now. And lots of buds, which means it's going to start producing blueberries quite soon. And once again, extra shoots that have come out at bottom. And what we do with these is I'll just probably tie them a little bit just to make it a bit more sturdy. But normally plants like this, they just look after themselves. So we're definitely getting blueberries this year. Nothing at the moment on the cucumbers, but they was quite recently sowed and they're indoors, and we've popped them on an heat mat just to encourage that germination. But everything else seems to be doing perfectly fine. We'll do these peppers at some point over the next week or so and probably move them into 2 litre pots, same as those potatoes. We'll take these little peppers out and we'll move them probably into 9 centimetre pots, or maybe a bit smaller. We'll decide what we're going to do with them tomatoes when that time comes. But meanwhile, we'll keep his eye on those cherry tomatoes, because there's nothing better as you go through the season than containers or baskets full of sweet, ripe, red cherry tomatoes. So for mid-April, we've got quite a lot going on and quite a lot more to do as well. But the things that we start off that are quite slow growing will now start to grow a lot faster. So you're going to have to keep the eye on everything now, just to make sure those roots don't build up too much in your containers, that those potatoes don't get a bit out of hand as well. I said I weren't going to show you, but I can't help it. And when you get to things like your salads, which we took a massive cutting from the other day, keep cutting those, put them in bags, put them in your fridge, Don't allow them to get to a point where they start to wilt, and the more you cut them, the more they'll grow back. So again, a never-ending supply of fresh, homegrown salad. It's all right here for picking when you do container gardening. So get as many varieties of things going as you can. You're only going to use a small amount of compost and you're taking up quite a small area. But you could easily feed a family all the way through here on all the different things that we're growing. And pretty soon we're going to be moving. And I'll be telling you all about that quite soon, because I think it's going to come as a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. Anyway, take care and enjoy your gardening week. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to see what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks, please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you on the next update. Take care.